What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Real quick before we start, we do have one winner so far for the Power A controllers that we were giving away. That's for Noah, so congratulations there. The other winner is still kinda in progress. Mostly when I send out emails, I give the person about 24 hours or so anyway, so still waiting to hear back there. But we have one winner, and then when we get the next winner, I will announce that hopefully by tomorrow if everything goes well. But we have a bunch of stuff to talk about today. The MPD sales finally officially came out, which is awesome, so we can look through those. And there is a very interesting Joycon shell that's come out that has a D-pad. So let's get started. Now, the MPD rankings are officially out, like I said. This is for US sales only. So it's not for other parts of the world, just US sales for the month of September. It includes a mix of games that are accounted for physically and then digitally as well. They mark them off. For example, they can't seem to count the Nintendo eShop sales, and they can't count Blizzard.net sales, for example. Others they can. They seem to be okay counting PlayStation Network and Xbox Live Marketplace for the most part. So here we go. The Nintendo Switch, real quick, was the #1 selling system in terms of units between the big three. The reason I say the big three is because, well, the Super Nintendo Classic, in terms of units sold, was the best-selling system overall. Of course, in a bit of a different league, considering it's much cheaper at $80, and it was super hot in its debut month. People were looking all over the place, and I think it's pretty obvious now from what we've seen with counts at different stores, the Super Nintendo Classic was provided pretty good supply overall. Nothing like how it was with the NES Classic. Much easier to find a Super Nintendo Classic. So the Switch was the best selling in terms of units. The reason I say that is because overall, kind of like gross revenue from hardware, the PS4 was the #1 system for that. What that means is, since that there are different versions of the PlayStation, specifically the PlayStation 4 Pro, which is $100 more than the Switch, $300 to $400, Sony essentially brought in more money from their hardware, but they didn't sell as many units as the Switch. Now, the Xbox, I don't think was on the chart at all, because they usually do top three. The top three in that point would be Super Nintendo Classic, that would be the Switch, and then PlayStation with the Xbox somewhere. I couldn't tell you. The 3DS might have outsold it for all I know right now. But of course, Microsoft's waiting for November to roll around so they can unleash the Xbox One X and hopefully claim one of those top 3 spots in November. I assume they can with the X, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, we also had games ranked. I'll show you the top 10 here. The top is Destiny 2, as most people probably assumed, although it did come out in the same month as NBA 2K18, which is a big seller as well. But Destiny 2 at the top, that is not counting, from what they are saying, Blizzard.net sales at that point. I know the PC is going to sell through there, but that's not counting any of those online sales. NBA 2K18 right below that, Madden, NFL 18, FIFA 18. You see Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle at number 5. These asterisks that you're seeing here, the double asterisk next to the Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battles, means that it is not counting for any digital sales. What you're seeing there is just physical. Everything else around it, without those asterisks, have digital sales lumped in. Destiny 2 has that one asterisk because they can't count the online sales as well for that through Battle.net. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, number 6. You're seeing that right. I'm not really sure how to feel about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I feel like that's better than what I was expecting, but it's still not great for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite because most people said wait for the MPDs to come out because it'll chart pretty high. It's up against yearly sports games that usually sell pretty well, and Mario and Rabbids physically outsold it, despite Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite counting both physical and digital. Either way, going down from there, Grand Theft Auto 5, of course, it's always there, NHL 18, and then Zelda Breath of the Wild takes up the number 9 spot physically, and then Rainbow Six Siege at number 10. Now, Metroid Samus Returns was at number 12 through physical sales. Again, could not count digital sales, so we have no idea where it technically places with digital sales. Nintendo would know that. They did release and talk about, Nintendo talked about like number 8 or something with it, so who knows there. Digital sales are hard to count. We'll have to wait and see what Nintendo publishes in their next quarterly report that we'll hopefully see something about Metroid Samus Returns on there, which would be good because I'd like to see an exact number for that game. It'll tell us how successful Nintendo sees Metroid going forward. Either way, we're at least getting Prime. I think that's the one, like I've said before, that Nintendo is really looking at. Now, NPD said all pretty much sales across the board were up from last year, in large part thanks to the Nintendo Switch, which selling much better than what the Wii U was selling obviously, last year. And then the Super Nintendo Classic launching with what appears to be a much larger amount than the NES Classic. Either way, this month to last September, much higher. They also went on to say that Destiny 2, just from their first month here, is the highest selling game in all of 2017 year to date here. So Destiny 2 in its first month outsold everything. Like, let's say something launched in January and was still selling up to now, still has not sold more than Destiny 2 in its launch month. And of course, PC is now coming up as well for it. I think Destiny 2, when it's all said and done at the end, will probably only be outsold by Call of Duty. That's about it. Because if you go back, according to them, they're 12-month total because they go all the way back 12 months, a full year. The only two games that have still outsold Destiny 2 is Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and Battlefield 1. Yes, Infinite Warfare, while a lot of people didn't like it, it's still a beast at the sales charts, and it continues to be. Destiny 2, I think, will be up there, probably in the top 3, and it will probably just be outsold by Call of Duty, and try to think of anything else that would really outsell it. Maybe it'll just be 1 and 2. Next up, we finally had confirmation. Yes, the Xbox One is getting backwards compatibility with the original Xbox, the OG Xbox, today. That's right. You could play your original Xbox games on your Xbox One, your Xbox One S, or your eventual Xbox One X next month, right now. So if you have an Xbox One S or an Xbox One ready to go and you have Knights of the Old Republic, for example, you could pop right in and play it. Ninja Gaiden Black, and it's pretty much the list we already saw, but they added Black to it, the first-person shooter. It's actually a pretty cool game, to be honest. And they also gave us some details on how it's going to perform better, at least in terms of resolution. So if you take the original Xbox version of Knights of the Old Republic and you blow it up to what a flat screen would project now, we've seen, it's not going to look very good. It's going to be very blurry because they're stretching a 480p image that's not even widescreen out to a big widescreen, say 50-inch screen. Well, according to Microsoft, the Xbox One S will take those original Xbox games and blow them up to 960p and kind of smooth everything out. They showed a really cool trailer that kind of went over improvements, did a side-by-side and a sweep to show you the difference, and it's pretty big. It looks much better. They didn't do anything with the assets or anything. It doesn't visually look better. But if you really look at it, when they change the resolution, it's much clearer, and that's the big thing a lot of people wanted. They also gave us some information about the Xbox One X will handle these older Xbox games, and they said that all the 360 games that say render at 720p, just as an example, will do true 4K. Original Xbox games, again, because they're 480p, they can't technically go to 4K because 4K is a widescreen screen resolution. However, they will multiply the density, the number of pixels, 16 times, and it will go up to 1920p. Which is good. That's I think a good enough resolution for what those were even designed for at the time. Very high. It's going to look great on the Xbox One X. So if you have a 4K TV and maybe you want to go back and play Ninja Gaiden Black, maybe you want to go do Knights of the Old Republic, it'll look better. I still want to see frame rate comparisons because the original one had frame rate issues. I'm sure Digital Foundry will let us know about all that comparison, and I'll be really excited to see if Knights of the Republic does run much better on the 360 or the Xbox One, the Xbox One X. I really hope it does because that game is so much better at a high frame rate, and it's going to be really cool to see how it looks. I'm actually going to try it out today, and with the disc itself, pop it in and see what happens. Should be pretty fun. We also got hit with a trailer for Shin Megami Tensei 5. That's right, they gave it a title, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and not much else. The trailer wasn't bad, but there wasn't really any gameplay. It was just another cinematic trailer just to show us a few things. One, it absolutely is, from what we've seen, everything. There was some concern here. It is a Nintendo Switch exclusive, and it's Shin Megami Tensei 5. So they put the big V next to the title, and that was about it. They showed a few visuals, but it wasn't anything like amazing, right? It didn't really tell us much, is what I'm trying to say. No real gameplay, nothing. But overall, at least we know it's a Switch exclusive. It's coming sometime next year, still no date, and Shin Megami Tensei 5. So there you go. So Nintendo Switch's biggest complaint, other than a few things, maybe power differences from the other systems or whatnot, battery life. But one of the things that we all point out, we all recognize, and we hope that Nintendo would fix it, is that there's no D-pad out of the box. You gotta get a Pro controller or one of the other third-party controllers. Took a look at the PowerA one, for example, controllers like that. But apparently third party or just other people making these shells that everyone's buying and changing their shell color out. You know, you got the watermelon, translucent watermelon color. You got obviously atomic purple. Looks like they're going to be changing the mold up a little bit, and they're adding a D-pad. And when I first saw this, I said, I guess it would work. But the more you think about it, yes, it would technically work. The way that the buttons there on the left Joy-Con are set up, when you replace it with a D-pad, it would still technically emulate a D-pad correctly. The circuit board's not really set up for it, but it should still work well enough. It's definitely going to be better than those buttons because you'll have essentially a piece of plastic connecting everything, and you can do rolls much easier, things like that. So I'm going to get a couple of these shells because I want a couple different colors. They had a bunch of different colors. I'm going to get a couple of them, and I'm going to change some out and see how it works. And of course, you've already seen my my quick very, very quick tutorial, I guess you could say, follow along kind of on how to change it out. But I do want to get this and just see how it feels. I put you can pre-order them. I think they said it was available October 27th on Amazon. I'll put a link down in the description for you guys if you want to check it out and get your pre-order in, or just get ready for it when it goes up. Next up, Nintendo did announce an Animal Crossing Direct. It's going to take place tonight, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time. I'll try to stream it because I'm very interested in what their mobile phone Animal Crossing game is going to be. That's all they said this Direct is going to be about. So if you're expecting something with like Animal Crossing Switch, no, that's not the case. It's just going to be the mobile version of Animal Crossing. A version I think that they have a ton of potential to make a lot of money. Consider all of the stuff you get in Animal Crossing, and consider all of the currency they could probably sell you, or the microtransactions in a free-to-play, freemium style game. Like Fire Emblem is making a ton of money for them on the phone. Consider Animal Crossing, something that appeals to a much wider range audience, right? Fire Emblem is still kind of a niche audience. Animal Crossing, you're doing things like designing your houses, you're running errands, doing jobs, things like that. Stuff that more appeals to the people who buy or at least download these cell phone games. It's definitely going to be a free-to-play. I think we all know this at this point. It probably won't be an exact version of Animal Crossing. It's not going to probably even look like the DS version. I think it's going to be a very isometric top-down version. Maybe you touch where you want your character to run to. Maybe they don't even have your character move around at all. Maybe it's like Simpsons Tapped Out, for example. It could be something like that, right? I hope it's at least good, but either way, Nintendo stands to make an absolute mint on this game if they do it right, and that's what apparently they're going to show us in this 15-minute Direct that's going to happen later on tonight. Come by, check out the channel, we'll stream it, and hopefully see a good Animal Crossing cell phone game. We'll have to see. And in our last bit of news, we finally got the release date for Dragon Ball FighterZ. A game that we saw is coming out in February in Japan, which led most of us to think, okay, maybe it's coming out in late February here or the US and everywhere else. Nope, apparently it's coming out in the US January 26th. So outside Japan, it's going to come out sooner, which is interesting because I know the main audience is in Japan for that game, although I think Dragon Ball has become very popular over time everywhere else pretty much, maybe even more so than in Japan. But here's the thing, it's coming out January 26th. They did announce a season pass. I know what you're thinking. Great, a season pass. I don't know how far along their other characters are, and they're going to announce 8 different characters that are going to be a part of that season pass. So sure, you could buy into the season pass, or you could wait to see the characters ahead of time and maybe buy the ones you want. I don't know how it's going to affect online play. I don't know if you need all the characters put online. I assume you don't, because that would kind of break the online experience. It's just, if you have the character, you can play online with them. And that's the way it goes. But it's going to be interesting. I want to see how this sells. I think it's going to do well. And really the fact that they set up a whole new story, like kind of a what-if story mode, the gameplay looks good, the visuals look good, and it's coming out maybe a little too close. I don't know. That's the thing. I'm always hesitant to really try to figure out these games when they're very close to Christmas. So January generally is a down month for retail, for pretty much everything, advertising, everything. And here comes a game that maybe is trying to take advantage of the fact that not much generally releases in January. It's a pretty lean month for everyone because of that. Everyone spent all their money. Here they go, they're going to try to get Dragon Ball FighterZ, kind of work it into January. It's 26, so it's sooner than I thought. From what I'm seeing and I'm reading everywhere, open beta is going to be taking place in that same month, probably earlier on. Hopefully it's better than the closed beta, because the closed beta was kind of terrible. But the open beta probably is to do one final stress test on their servers, and you could do that on your Xbox One or your PS4. Should be fun. It's coming January 26th. That's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me think about any of the stuff we talked about today. Whether it is the NPD sales rankings, are you just not surprised at all? I mean, the Super Nintendo Classic, I kind of thought about, and I was like, if they include that with the consoles, yeah, it's going to be #1, and it was. The Switch was #1 in terms of units. The PlayStation 4 technically made the most money on hardware, but they have more expensive hardware. The PS4 Pro is $400. But the Xbox seems to always be the odd one out in these NPD groups right now. Is the Xbox One X going to turn all of that around? We'll have to see. Are you surprised that Destiny 2 took #1 spot? I'm not. I bought it. I know a lot of people that bought it, and their concurrent player count over 3.5 million at one point. Yeah, that's about right. Also, are you excited for the Animal Crossing mobile game? I know it's kind of weird to think about these Nintendo properties on mobile phones, but a lot of people like Fire Emblem. Are you excited for Animal Crossing? Some people probably are. Some people don't care. They want it on the Switch, or yeah, I get that too. But they're going to make a lot of money on phones, much more than they would on the Switch. It's the way it is. It's the way the freemium economy is on phones. Thanks, guys, for watching. Come by later on tonight. We'll have a whole stream for Animal Crossing, have some fun. Hopefully, I'll see you then.